Good morning. Welcome to Expat Insights. I am your host Raju Mandhyan. Here at Expat Insights, we take external views of internal successes by foreigners, expats and immigrants who have made their home and are doing good in the Philippines, either in business or society. This morning, we have a Malaysian gentleman who lived in the Philippines from 98 till 2006 and now does business, a virtual business from Australia with the Philippines, and comes and goes often from the Philippines. And our theme tonight, our theme for this morning is enabling the disabled. Across the world, in the whole civilization, almost 1 out of every 10 persons is disabled, either physically, visually, or some other format. And our guest, Thomas Nang, has done something wonderful for the disabled or the physically and visually challenged across Asia and across the Asia Pacific. And so we'll get to meet him and find out what he is doing right and how he is successful at doing it and how he'll make that thing grow and become bigger. But before we meet Thomas, maybe we'd like to show the video, maybe we'd like to meet Thomas. Thomas, let's meet you first, then we show the video. So welcome to Expat Insights.
Hi Raju, my pleasure to be here.
Thomas Nang, founder of Geneshtim. Welcome again, yeah. So, Thomas, before I take you into the subject matter of enabling the disabled and how you've been doing this wonderfully, tell us a bit about you being a Malaysian who is now working across Asia Pacific.
Well, I was born and raised in Penang.
Yeah.
And where the best food is from the world.
Penang has the best food in the world, okay. I thought Makati has.
And I went to study in New Zealand.
Right.
My tertiary education. Came back and worked in Kuala Lumpur for a few years. Always with multinational companies. I worked initially with a company called Azia Brown Boveri.
Okay, ABB, yeah.
And then eventually I was posted to Hong Kong, and Hong Kong to Eastern Europe, back to Hong Kong to set up their joint ventures in China, and then I left them and worked for a British company, run the Asia Pacific operations. And then in 1998, I went back to ABB, and because they offered me the job of country manager for the Philippines.
Oh, okay.
And so I did that job for 6 years before retiring from corporate life.
So 98 was when President Joseph Estrada was president, no?
Yes.
So tell us about your life then. Philippines in 98 and Philippines in 2013 today. 15 years ago, yeah, almost.
Well, I think when we started, I have to say that a lot of things are better. You know, surprisingly, you know, traffic still a problem, but it's much better than
98, yeah, no,
in those
like
days.
mid-90s.
And my predecessors are talking about horrific traffic jams and everything. But I've only really had one bad experience from when there was a flood. And other than that, you know, it's been quite manageable, especially
I remember that flood. It was the mother of all floods when people got stuck for 2 nights out of their homes. Yeah.
And actually after they did the underpass along EDSA, things have been a lot better. So I think a lot of improvements have been made.
Today, what is fun for you? I know you come to the Philippines every 6 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
So what is fun for you? What is the most beautiful thing about Philippines?
I think people.
Still the
for
people.
Me, it's the people. And when I first came here, I just felt that, you know, I don't know where the Southeast Asian thing.
What is the Southeast Asian?
I don't know. We seem to relate to each other better.
Okay.
I relate better to Southeast Asian than I do to North Asians. You know, somehow it's a little bit different. I suppose we grew up in a tropical kind of a place, so we're kind of a bit more relaxed.
So you don't get along with people from
my
country?
I didn't say I don't get along, but you know, somehow the affinity. I mean, you know, you meet people, you become friends very easily. You know, there are less hang-ups, you know, things like that.
I think it's because all of us, excluding me, were island people. People, so maybe the tropical, the beaches, the coconut tree, or something. Thomas, we go into enabling the disabled, and we want to find out what you're doing and how you're successful at it. But before that, let's catch that video from United Nations talking about the disabled. So let's put up that video by Stevie Wonder, and then we'll come back and talk to Thomas after the break if the time allows us. Yeah.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Secretary General, Ambassador Rice, all of the members here of the United Nations family. It is truly an honor beyond any that I have ever imagined would happen in a lifetime to be able to be penned and given the opportunity to spread the message of love is truly in need of love today. It is beyond my ability to fathom that 10% the people of this world don't matter to the other 90% of the people in the world. I'm not able to believe that. And the only way that you can show and that we can show our caring about that 10% is by doing something to make the world more accessible and for people to be accepted with disabilities by committing ourselves to opening all the doors and all the possibilities for those who are physically challenged in any way. It makes no sense to me that here we are and approaching 2010 in this new millennium, we have people in the world that just because they cannot see, we have not made this world accessible to them. It makes no sense to me, as we are in this year, 2010, the new millennium, that people who are physically challenged by being either paralyzed or that are quadriplegic do not have accessibility to be able to go and walk, to travel anywhere that he or she would want to. It makes no sense to me that in this year, 2010, in this new millennium, that a person who may be deaf is not able to have accessibility in any way that is possible when we are traveling in space, not just to the moon, but beyond. It is unacceptable. I don't say that because I'm blind, physically challenged. I say that because I would hope that this 90% of the people in the world are not blinder than the blindest person without vision. I would hope that you all would have the vision to open up the vision in not only your eyes, but in your mind and spirit, to seeing that a person who is left without an opportunity, one person, means that we all are with a disability. And that disability is a lack of being able to care. So I would hope that every single human being, every single world leader will commit themselves to making this world a better place and accessible for every single human being on this planet. I am committed to this, and as much as I have received this honor today, this honor gives me, again, another challenge. And this challenge is like writing another song. At the end of the day, if I'm challenged to write a song that's a hit, it's going to be #1. So we're going to win on this one, too. Thank you with your support.
Good morning. Welcome back to Expat Insights. I'm your host, Raju Mandhyan. We are with a Malaysian guest, Thomas Nang, who is in the business of enabling the disabled. And the sentiment that was just expressed by Stevie Wonder, Thomas Nang is living, working, and making that sentiment something real. So, Thomas, tell us about what you're doing with Janashtem, your company.
Well, the company started, I think, 2005
Yeah.
with carrying e-learning programs from global brands. One of them would be Cornell University's e-learning
Right.
program.
Yeah.
And after a few years, we just got very comfortable with online delivery of learning, online communication, and we decided to start our own products. And the first one was an English online delivery. It's called Epic Online, English Proficiency in Conversation. And we actually started this business helping a client in Japan, a subsidiary of an American company. Their local staff, didn't speak English, although they went for a lot of English training.
Okay.
So we just got our staff in our office to kind of go online with them and chit-chat. And after a while, they kind of blossomed, and then they sent us more and more people, and then we decided that this is a business that we'll start.
Yeah.
And then it went on to doing Chinese online as well. And today we are a B2B business. We chose to be B2B, so all our clients are companies, academic institutions. We did a few universities, big multinational companies, hotels, five-star hotels. And because everything is online, we are so familiar and comfortable with the online processes.
Yeah.
We decided everybody works from home. And when we pushed that work from home model out, we then discovered that, well, a person in a wheelchair can function as well as anybody working from home. And then just before that, actually, I was invited to join the board of trustees of a computer school for the blind here in the Philippines. And I discovered that blind people that today there is software that enable them to use a computer and access the internet very, very effectively. It's called screen readers. And I was really quite mesmerized by this. So we thought, well, let's give them a try. And today we have probably about more than a dozen visually impaired people working for us.
You said that you provide services business to business only, learning solutions either in language or maybe management skills. No? Would you cite an example of a single transaction or a single initiative that you do, a customer and the kind of learning you're providing them?
Okay. Our most successful project actually has been with a college in Malaysia called Taylor's College. And they had this batch of students, 50 students from the local O-levels program, going into Cambridge A-levels and then applying to go to Canadian universities. And they've been attending English classes, but their spoken English was still very, very low level. So we were commissioned. We spent 3 months going online twice a week with them, one-on-one, face-to-face with our language coaches. And at the end of 3 months, when they sat for the IELTS test, they hit a admission rate of 91%, whereas before it was less than 70%. So we did a tremendous job with them. And from there, we have grown, and we now have several thousand students from that particular.
So thus you take content and curriculum of one institute and match it with a corporate or needs. So that's what you do.
We are able to customize any content for any client today. For example, with Regent Hotels in Taiwan, they wanted us to do concierge, waitering, housekeeping.
Skills.
Yes. So
online.
Yeah. So like for example, at first they even say engineering, and I said, well, why do your engineers need to speak English? I said, well, when you're in your room and your internet doesn't work, or your plumbing doesn't work, or your TV doesn't work, you call, an engineer comes up.
Right.
So
what place was this? I'm sorry again.
This is Regent Hotels in Taiwan.
Oh, okay.
So they want their engineers to be able to actually have a conversation with the guests, to identify the problem and to explain to them how to, how to set it up again and all that. So we do a lot of what they call scenarios, conversation scenarios, kind of mock problems.
Role plays.
Yeah, role plays and all that. So that gets them into, into a confident mode, because most of them have some English in them, but they've never actually used English,
Right.
So I'll give you another example. McDonald's in Thailand. They have 20 restaurants in tourist areas.
Right.
So they said, we want our restaurant managers to be able to deal with tourists. So we came up with
At least speak a smattering of English.
Yeah, and we came out with role plays on, this Big Mac is different from Boston's Big Mac, and this floor is not clean. I didn't want pickle, why did you give me pickle, So it's simple. I mean, and by speaking with people, and One of the things we do, which is quite unique in our industry, is that we don't assign one coach to one student. So we have a platform, and when you register for a session or a class, it's a random assignment. So every time you go online, you're speaking to somebody different.
Also a new teacher all the time.
Yeah.
So maybe the same student but different teachers all the time.
Yeah. So that's actually important, because if you want to learn to speak confidently, you have to learn to speak with different people. If you're only speaking to one person, the moment you speak to a second person,
that makes a lot of sense.
You know. So and also your listening skills, you need to be able to adjust. Different people pronounce
to his pace, to his pitch, to his.
When I first arrived in
yeah.
Manila, I spoke to my staff. Half the time they couldn't understand me.
Well, I don't understand you.
It's the
So
Malaysian English, yeah.
No, now tell me, you have been really. Education online by itself is a challenge, because one of the mediums of conversations, which is physical, face-to-face, disappears. No? Now you have been able to employ successfully and happily people with disabilities and people who are visually impaired. How did that come about, and define the success or describe the success to us here?
Okay, well, for example, our quality assurance department, we have a QA department.
In the English proficiency,
yeah. And it's run by a person who is visually impaired. He has no vision, basically no vision. And he's a QA manager. Department of about 6 people. Most of them are visually impaired.
Right.
And
in the English conversational school.
And the main job is that, you know, every session that's run, there's an evaluation by the student. If there's a bad evaluation, they pull it out, and the QA department has to listen to the session, because we record everything.
Right.
And then they will make a report on how that session, why there was a bad rating. So we take corrective measures. That's a QA process. So to actually listen to sessions and make a report, I mean, it doesn't matter if you can't see, because those are all, we only record voice recordings.
Right, right.
So that's what they do.
No, in fact, it gives you an edge, because a person who
more focus.
won't see will focus a lot more on hearing well, like Stevie Wonder himself, you know, great in music, so that's an edge there. How about people with physical disabilities?
Our whole IT team, either in wheelchairs or have only one limb, or, you know, basically if you can only use one hand, you can operate a PC today, right? And so our whole IT team, because everybody works from home. We have students now from more than 10 countries. So when
for your English conversational skills,
And if they need any help with their PC, our IT team does it remotely. So there's a software, you know, that they use. They can go into your PC as long as they're connected to the internet. So
yeah, I know that one. I think
and they can, you know, help you set up. You know, if for example I can't open.
They see the same screen. They see the same screen.
Yes. So that's how they support. So our whole, we have actually now branded our IT team, calling them Abled Online.
Very nice.
Brand, Abled Online, and we're actually selling this as a service. That if you want to, you know, have someone to take over your PC and help you, you know, remove a virus, or you couldn't set up your printer, you know, or you couldn't get your headset to work, they can actually come in there. And
so your company is now totally virtual, as you mentioned. So how many people do you employ, and what percentage of this is physically or visually challenged?
We have about 40 full-time staff now in 5 countries. And of these 40 full-time staff, about 30 of them are persons with disabilities. And then we have another about 40 coaches, language coaches, who are paid by the hour. And about 15% of them are persons with disabilities. Because we take people in wheelchair, you can be a coach, right? We even have visually impaired coaches.
Usually I wouldn't ask you this question, but what are the challenges in terms of legalities, hiring, recruiting, firing people with disabilities? Are the laws any different globally, or at least in the Philippines, compared to? Do they get any special privilege, and does that make a hindrance to you as an employer?
Well, the thing is, I mean, for us it doesn't really matter, because they don't need to come to the office. So there's no office. So they are hired working from home. So we remove a lot of the issues, right? And secondly, we don't have any different pay scales or different
You don't differentiate.
there's no difference. I mean, you do the same job whether you are disabled or not disabled in any way. There's no different pay scales. We have among our top management, 50% are persons with disabilities. So they have got persons without disabilities reporting to persons with disabilities.
So you treat them equal.
Yeah, the thing we do is that we find jobs for, if you have a certain disability, we find a job that disability doesn't matter. It's not different from, say for example, you wouldn't give an accounting job to a salesperson, right?
Yeah, match talent with
that's right.
challenge.
So you look at his capabilities and give him a job that will optimize his capabilities for the organization.
Simple as that, simple as that.
And we try to, our work processes are designed that way. For example, we carry the eCornell brand. If you go
the
eCornell brand, and if you go to the website and register interest, the first person who handles that is person who is hearing impaired. So he will see the email. We have a standard emails that he sends out to give more information, to try to coax the person inquiring to take the next step and the next step. And the moment it reaches a point where that prospective client says, I want to talk to somebody now, that is transferred to a person who's visually impaired. And she has a lovely voice and very, very persuasive. And she's the one who then handles the call.
Right.
And then once the student is signed up, there's a lot of processes which are registration and getting documentation and then checking on the student as they progress. It's done by somebody who has Asperger's syndrome.
So what syndrome, sorry?
Asperger's syndrome. So it's a form of autism.
Yeah.
And people who are like that are very structured. You know, they don't like variations in their routine. So routine tasks are very good for them. And so compliance work is very good for people like that. Because the moment anything deviates, they jump and they scream. And you want that to happen.
It's like maybe somebody is a little more analytical than creative, so you give it to the more analytical person.
So it's a routine. He wants a set routine. He does things and he'll never miss a step. And there are certain things in the company where you need that to happen. So we put somebody like that on the task. So actually using his disability to the advantage of the organization.
From your perspective, you are working currently with so many, and then this has become your business model successfully too, no? And that's the doing good part you're doing, no? Is this what fulfills them? Is it, does this add to their self-belief and self-esteem? Would they want to be treated like that? Or do they prefer privileges and a little bit more attention?
Well, I think there are people who join us and who don't make it. And those who don't make it, don't make it. We don't, we are not a charitable organization. And we have more than 40 persons with disabilities working for us. And they also realize that if they don't perform, they drag down everybody else. Because if this business goes to hell, it fails, they won't get a job. And most of them have never had a job before. Okay, so that's that first point. And what was the question again? Sorry.
The question was, is this what they prefer compared to
so for those who have stayed with us, you can go to our website, and there's a page where our staff put their testimonials on. We just let them, say what they feel. And the surprising thing for me was that I always thought that financial would be the thing, right? Most of these people have no steady income. Suddenly now they have a steady income. I have a person who worked for me. In 3 years, his income rose by 600%. 600%.
600%?
6 times in 3 years.
What was he doing before?
He was
this
doing
is in the
freelance,
Philippines?
Freelance work, sometimes not getting paid. At the most, he was making...
No, but this gentleman is in the Philippines?
Yes.
Filipino?
Yes.
Okay.
He's in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
But when I looked at the testimonials that came in, the more important thing that they mentioned is about the dignity of a proper job. Actually, that came out. I was a little bit surprised, and I thought everybody would... Well, many of them mentioned about financial stability, but many of them mentioned that I have purpose in my life. I feel I'm doing something useful. I'm handling, important customers. I'm not just put in the corner, screwing things together or stapling documents together. I'm out there facing clients, doing a key job. So we don't have, little jobs. Every job is important.
You're not a minority. You're not put aside, and you're not treated as if you are totally different. Of course, care is being given to you, but still the same challenges that is given to
We
everyone.
recognize, what we tell everyone who joins us is that you be very honest about where your disabilities are. Because our expertise, if we can call it that, is that we will put you into a work process where that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. So that's where we work. And so whatever you can do, we expect the best. And I always tell people, everybody, if you can't do certain things, fine. You know, if you can't fly, we won't ask you to do a job that you can fly. But whatever you can do, you then have to challenge yourself. Why can I not be the best in the world? Whatever I can do, right?
So do what you can do
and be best in
achieve
the
your
world.
maximum potential, even though you might have limitations.
Yeah.
And
Everybody has limitations, right?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Can't see so well. So Thomas, I'm going to take a little break, and I'm going to show some of the people who work with you out of the Philippines, and then we'll come back and after the break and get ideas from you about how what you have done can be done by other companies and other institutes here in the Philippines. All right, let's take that break.
Thank you.
So let's show that video where we see Thomas's people working for the company Genashtim.
It is hard to imagine that this is the office of the head of the Quality Assurance Department of a company with businesses across Asia. 31-year-old Billy Villano, a former history teacher from Pasay City in the Philippines, is one of many employees of Genashtim, an e-learning company that offers online English language coaching through Skype. This is an unconventional company where the office is based entirely on the internet. Being blind at a young age, Billy decided to join this company several years ago because it provides him with a sense of independence. Unlike his old job, here, Billy's blindness is not an obstacle for him to communicate with his client and co-workers, enabling him to work like any other person.
I just felt at that time that I have to be fully independent professionally, and not just for myself, but also for the people that I'm working or serving for. So I decided to look for something that I could, do that I can do fully independent. I could be in control fully.
Set up in 2004, Genashtim employed many persons with disabilities from across the Philippines. This company dinner is quite a rare gathering. Many who have worked online together for years never actually met in person. For disabled staffs, particularly those who find it difficult to travel from place to place, working from home is an advantage. It allows them to rest whenever they need to. Nevertheless, employees at this company are systematically assessed by their performances and responsibility.
We base it on the performance and accomplishments of the person. We are not very particular on the hours of work you are doing and how you do your work. As long as you are able to efficiently provide the task that you are doing, the job that you are doing, well, that's fine.
For Human Resource Supervisor Maria Suarez, whose disability makes her unable to move a lot, Genashtim provides her with a unique opportunity of a stable career, which enabled her to be financially self-sufficient and even allows her to help out her family.
Well, it has a great impact actually because I have a steady income. Before, I was just having various part-time jobs, but they did not last. So this is a good opportunity for me because I was able to provide for myself and for my family.
Genashtim's business model has not only allows persons with disabilities to work in various capacities within the company, but also through the careful selection that match each staff with appropriate tasks, it enables the company to become stronger and perform better in the long run.
Good morning. Welcome back to Expert Insights. We are with Mr. Thomas Nang, of the founder of Genashtim, and we are talking about enabling the disabled, and he told stories about how he's been successful with it. So Thomas, now tell us about of these three cases that we saw, three gentlemen and one lady who are working for you, no? Of all these people who are working with you, which story has inspired you the most, whether in the Philippines or outside of it?
I think they all inspire me. I think that's the thing, when you look at, somebody who's, been, end up in a situation and is able to climb back out and have a fulfilling life and be productive.
Yeah.
and help me make money. It's totally inspiring. I mean, I mean, of the three people in there, Billy in the first instance, he's now a QA manager.
Willie is the one with the shades.
Yes,
Yeah.
He's one of my very, very senior people. He's my friend. And we discussed about the future of the company. He's very, very conscious, caring about everything that goes in the organization, even though that he's only in charge in quality assurance.
And he's based in Manila or outside?
He's in Paranaque.
Oh, okay.
And he's also the one that says A or nay to any new hire for language coaches. He's the one that does the final interview and passes them or not.
So running this business with people who are physically challenged and visually impaired sometimes, no? What has it done to you as a human being?
Well, for me, a lot of people said, look, you're a kind person and doing
I
this.
thought so when I met you. I thought, man, this is amazing. Yeah.
Actually, it's not that. I think that I do it because I believe that we can make a very significant business out of this, and where we can tap untapped talent. I think that's the thing.
Right.
So it's using my management skills and my creativity that's exciting me. Helping people is good.
So I mean, you're not really focused on doing good. You're really focused on just performance.
Yes.
And creating opportunity.
In fact, when we started, until very recently, none of our customers know that we hire disabled people. We don't talk about it. We don't present it in our sales pitch. It's on our website. We have a CSR page. Everything is there. We don't hide it. So if they want to look, they can find it. But actually, until very recently, our clients don't know. In fact, until now, some of them still don't know. But lately, what has happened is that because we caught the attention of UNSCAP, ILO, the Nippon Foundation, and then this UN rights, human rights thing, and so we are advertising about our business. So now we have companies coming to us because they heard about us from these organizations, and they are coming to us because we are special in that sense. So so of course it's fine. I mean, I will never turn away business. But what I'm saying is that when we started, we did not make this the reason why we get business.
Right.
And so that's very important because we perform. We perform a global service, globally competitive, global quality. So no compromises.
So let me assume a bit here. So you don't care. You don't want that to be your USP, that you hire people with challenges. You don't want that to bring in business for you. Is that a good assumption?
Yes.
And you don't care whether it comes in or not, the business, as long as business comes in based on performance.
Yes, and I want it to be based on performance. And I want everybody in my organization to feel that the same way. I'm getting employed. I'm getting, livelihood because I perform. Not because somebody pity me. I mean, that's something we want to change. Now, how has it changed me as a person? Quite unexpected.
Yeah.
Because you deal with people that have accidents and then went into depression and all that, and now they are back. And the way they are, many of them are very, very happy and jovial.
Yeah.
They accept criticism. They, even they fall down, they pick themselves up again. They're so determined. I tell you, for me, it changes me because I have nothing to complain about.
Except for your reading glasses.
And of course, I mean, I'm a short-tempered person, and now whenever I lose my temper or because I'm upset at something, and I think about all the people, who work for me, who have gone through so much more, strife, and I say, shit, I have nothing to complain about. So why am I so pissed off at anything, right? So that I think that has changed me, and I think that hopefully makes me a better person.
Good. I'm happy to hear that because I'm sure it is. No? So let me ask you a couple of questions before we end. One is, what does the future hold for you? How have you planned your business to grow? Because obviously this is working well for you. Yeah. What are your future plans for Genashtim as a company? How do you foresee it?
Okay, we are focusing very much on the language delivery because that's the area where we've done well, exceptionally well. And so for English and Chinese online, we are probably running at the moment about maybe 4,000 sessions a month. This year we probably run 10,000 sessions a month. And my big audacious goal is to run 100,000 sessions a month in 3 years. 100,000 sessions a month. So that will be a very, very nice business. And at that point in time, we'll be employing about 1,000 people.
Wow. Globally.
Yes.
Not just Philippines, but globally.
So my target is, our company, we have policy that we want to stick to at least 50% persons with disability.
You've got the systems and the structures laid out for it.
Yes, yes. And so I want to be able to have a very successful company in 3 years' time, and to say that, look, you know, the majority of people who delivered this success are persons with disabilities.
They were normal people.
Yeah.
Yeah, in your words, they were quote-unquote normal.
Yeah.
What are your recommendations for larger companies who sometimes create a CSR department to do this? No, but what are your recommendations for ABC Corporation
Yeah.
Global?
Yeah.
You know, what would you tell them?
I think the biggest enabler for us was when we decided that, you know, everybody works from home. And that was because we had an office in Manila, and, you know, come typhoon time, you know, there'll be, you know, weeks where there's no power, nobody can come to work, flooding and all sorts of things, and staff, when they come to work, they're normally exhausted by the time they get to the office, because they commute for 2 hours and the energy level is low, and I just find this is not very productive. And then you observe when you come to the office, what do? You pick up the phone, you turn on your PC, you get on the internet. So I said, well, you can do this from home, you know. So that's actually, I would encourage companies to actually rethink their processes, because today, a lot of the things that are done in the office do not need to be done in the office. And I think that if you could kind of examine that a bit closer, you find that suddenly you can actually, you know, help in decongesting the cities, consuming less fuel, polluting the air less, and people work from home and deliver still a service. And when you do that, then a person in a wheelchair has no disability whatsoever.
So that's your recommendation, is that enabling the disabled, you use technology.
Technology. You know,
that'll empower them, in fact.
We have my process manager, Raj, in Kuala Lumpur.
Raj?
Raj. His name is Raj Selvaraj. He's Malaysian Indian. He had an accident and he's paralyzed from the neck down.
Yeah.
But he uses voice activation to operate the PC, and he's very, very productive. And he's very, very senior in my company. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
And so he works from home, and he's totally productive. He's dealing with clients in Malaysia, in Middle East.
Yeah.
Most of them don't know, in fact.
What's his job description again?
He's a process manager. So he actually was brought in because he has an engineering background, and I needed to document our processes, and he was the one who did that. But now his job has grown to beyond. He's handling customers also. He's also more or less helping quality assurance. So, you know, and everybody loves him. And, you know, he should really be a hero. I mean, you know, somebody like that.
You should nominate him for Asian Hero then.
Yes. I mean, you know, to now be so, and if you look at him, he's pleasant, he's a lovely person, we joke all the time, and, you know, no hang-ups whatsoever.
Thomas Lang, it's been a pleasure having you here. It's
pleasure.
Something really wonderful that you do at Genashtim. I'm very impressed with that, and hopefully the audience watching this and people who work with you, of course, I'm not saying they should send you business, but at least use you as a role model, use your business as a role model. Now, last question, what are your hopes for this lovely country that you work with so much, and where you kind of learned the business of creating businesses? So
I think
hopes for Philippines.
Yeah, I think for me anyway, for the first time, I mean, that's light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, you have leadership now that's very determined.
Here in this country?
Yes.
Today, yeah.
And I see a lot of things happening at the macro level, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
I think it's going to take a long time to filter down to the micro level. And
you think so? I'm thinking it'll take less than 3 years.
Well, I hope. I hope that you know. I hope that everybody, you know, pulls together with the leadership now and make that happen.
Yeah.
Because, you know, this country has so much potential.
Yeah.
And it looks like there's an opportunity to actually, you know, take advantage of this potential.
I think the stone has been thrown in the pool. It's going to be a ripple effect. So it's less than 10 years. People think that less than 3 years, no? So I'm very sure. A gut feeling, and you hear, get a feel of what's happening in town.
You've been here longer than I, so.
Yeah. So this is where my family lives, of course. So these are my roots here. So Thomas, thank you so much. Salamat. You want to announce your website? That's your opportunity there. Genashtim or company?
Simple. It's www.genashtim.com. GENAHTIM.
Yeah. It's shown on the screen. Yeah. So good luck, mabuhay, and God bless.
Thank you.
So that was Mr. Thomas Lang, and this is Expert Insights, and I'm your host, Raju. Next week on Expert Insights, we'll have 3 people. We will be talking about neuroscience and success. One of them is a Swiss person, the other 2 are professors from UP. So see you next week. Good night and mabuhay.